That's almost an hour and a half. That is an hour and a half. Do you want to do some wrestling chat?
Yeah, whilst we're here, I've still got a wee slug of beer left. Open this, which is like your Lidl's beer.
Oh,
Come on,
nice.
fuck it, get off my face.
There you are. Tropical Trossix. That's a great name for a beer.
Mm.
Come
I
on.
think this is one of these ones where it's maybe secretly a Stuart Brewing beer, but brewed exclusively for Lidl's.
Yeah, it's got the Stuart have got that kind of tartany, patchworky can art as their kind of gimmick.
And that's not too far. So I'm still determined to go book a brew day with them. Go brew my own beer this year.
I was up that way, like, and I didn't stop at Stuart. They're down by so it's straight in
Lonehead?
way, isn't it? Yeah, Lonehead. So yeah, near Cobham and IKEA.
I definitely need to the plans there. Just the Lagerlogs beer this year. I just need to get my finger out and book it. But yeah, wrestling. We won't talk about everything that's going on Twitter/X this evening. Regardless, lots of allegedlys and Vince McMahon's. So we'll steer clear of that.
Yeah,
and
we do a wee where we have done in the past a wee spin off because we're both massive wrestling fans. So thank you everybody that's been with Brewgooders.
We'll see you next week.
See you next week. If you want to hang around, let's chat. Here's chat wrestling, and that'd be absolutely amazing. But it's just another thing that we do. And if you go on the Brewgooders YouTube channel, you will see we do beer, we do comics. We've also got a wee football podcast on exclusive to YouTube called The Brew from the Terrace, which is me and Andrew and our friend Tom chatting about like we sat together to watch the cup draw last week. We did some bits and pieces, but also me and Stu in the past have done with the Brew Age Outlaws, which is just beer and wrestling. So we're just
and
talk the wrestling. I'm going to make it into bite-sized chunks, but if you tune in with us just now, you'll get 20 minutes, half an hour, and then or 3 episodes or whatever. So just enjoy. The big news for me this week, I thought, is that this Netflix stuff is mental.
Yes.
Yeah.
The $1 billion deal, billions. What was it? 5 billion over 10 years. Like, that's nuts. Like, Netflix will be the home of Monday Night Raw for 10 years.
And is it just Raw that is getting it?
From what I saw on other podcasts that I watch, in America, it's just Raw. Because obviously, I think Fox have SmackDown, the CW has NXT, and Peacock has the premium live events. But outside of the US, let's say the UK, supposedly we get the lot, as if the network and the shows when they happen, which is nuts. I can't imagine watching a 3-hour Monday Night Raw live. What's going to happen with the advert breaks?
We say that I've in the UK. I don't know if you've ever noticed, but I've our adverts are different than the US advert breaks. So sometimes when you're watching Raw or SmackDown, or even I've seen it on rare AEW Dynamite's a bit different.
Yes,
because
it's obvious on them.
Yeah.
The commentary gets far more relaxed.
When you watch it on Raw, you can see things slow down. Like it just in the commentary stops for 2 minutes, and it's really weird. It's like all of a sudden, like your match just slows down to a headlock and really
exactly
for a couple of minutes, and then it picks back up again. And you're like, the atmosphere on the feed total dies in it. It's just because our advert structure is in America's. No, I think it might improve Raw if they're talking about cutting out ads. Like if you watch AEW Dynamite, they like their issue is that they slow down during the break, so then when it comes back, they then have to show you like 5 or 6 replays of what you missed because they haven't slowed the match down. A bit just my understanding, and I might be wrong, and I can get total shot down. I'm happy to get shot down. Is as well as Raw, they're shutting the network down and transferring most of the network content to. I don't know if I got announced today or yesterday, but they're shutting the network down and transferring most of the stuff over to Netflix.
It's possible. They've got a year to do it at least.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna have to throw up tea for a pee break.
No
So
worries.
if you could keep talking for like 10,
Oh,
15
yeah.
seconds, I'll be
No
back.
worries.
Saves me having to pee into a
I'm
can.
gonna, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna load up. Load up the shit for the Rumble, so I know who's in it. And yeah, I'm gonna find, because as I said there, my understanding is they're shutting down the network. So the network, for anyone that doesn't know, everyone knows what the network is. It's where it's Netflix for WWE, and as I was saying there, students seem to be aware. So yeah, What Culture, who are like a channel, amazing guys on. So What Culture and Cultaholic are my two main go-tos for wrestling related content, but they're reporting it, Dave Meltzer. So they're from their source, which is the Wrestling Observer Radio. So Dave Meltzer is saying that the WWE network will be shut down come the end of 2024, and a whole bunch of the archive content will be shifted over onto Netflix. The current Peacock model in the US will continue to run as normal until that deal expires in 2026. So if you're in the US, I know that their network model is different in the UK. We still have like the network as it was when it first came out. But ultimately, what I'm trying to say is this means that the international network, which has been running a bit like the WWE Netflix since 2014, will cease to exist. And Meltzer's sources have told him that Netflix will pick up the content. He's not sure how much Netflix will want. It's possible they won't transfer over absolutely everything the servers, but most of the archival content is expected to be there. So that would hopefully mean that the PLEs, the WCW programming, the ECW more. They've got those fantastic documentaries about the Monday Night Wars and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's understanding that the network will shut down internationally by the end of the year, and then in the US it'll keep on going for another, because Peacock have got the license till 2026. But yeah, the idea is that they'll shut the network down and move most of the stuff over to. But I haven't used Netflix in years. I don't know if it's structured in a certain way, but I do know
I
that.
believe they have done some sporting events before. I think there's been like live golf coverage. So I guess maybe they're prepared for it. And I assume the fact that we have to wait till January 2025 is to wait out maybe existing TV contract deals. I guess is it USA they're with currently. So maybe it's just a case of like waiting that out, and then
There must be reasons for doing it. Like I just assumed, because I don't know, Cannon tells me that when the network went live, WWE just went absolutely. They were, and the money they were making was substantial off that. So they're getting, they had exclusive rights to everything they were doing, plus all obviously the different contracts they've got with, like, obviously in the UK you can watch you can watch the PLEs on, is it TNT box office do, so you can still go on to like the old way, the way we used to order people when we were younger. You had to get your mom to like phone up the guy and say like, hey, the tenner or whatever, just so you can watch like events. Yeah, TNT still do that to an extent where you have to like do it on your, you and have it booked in and stuff, or you can watch it on the network.
Yes, I think everyone's kind of acclimatized to that. I do remember going on your TiVo box and kind of like pre-ordering like the Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, and then just sitting and wait until midnight, hoping that it works. And you don't have to reset your box and miss the start.
Yeah, I remember. That's massive news, and it's quite exciting. See how that about. I've not been in a couple of years. I know, like, I've got Amazon, and Amazon did football from time to time, and they obviously do. They do live sport. So I don't know, in my head when I thought Netflix doing live sport, but yeah, it's obviously doable. Hopefully they'll like still keep some of the stuff, like the Monday Night War documentary series was one of my favorites, and the ECW, the Rise and Fall of ECW and stuff, that was all on the network. It's brilliant. So, and the Rise and Fall of WCW is brilliant as well. So it'll be interesting to see what they keep and what they think's worth, and I can't imagine they would put a lot of the.
I had some statistic today, like when they went from the WWE Network to Peacock, they lost 30% of their catalog, and they're just wondering if the same thing will happen again, which is strange and concerning. But I guess it is a lot of like, right? They're taking on Raw. Are they going to backdate it? Are we going to go back to like when it began? And you've got like every episode of Raw, or are we just going to kind of start from 2025 onwards? New episode every week, but
it's exciting. It's definitely it'll be an exciting time. It's obviously Titan Towers, the big the conchos at WWE will have crunch the numbers, and obviously there is value to what they're doing. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Yeah, and you got to ask yourself how many folk actually watch all that backdated stuff. I watch. I don't. I watch a lot of the guys at Cultaholic. They do a SmackDown and Raw. They're basically they're 20 years behind this week, but they're just watching what was happening on Raw this week 20 years ago and going through it as I rewatch. But I can't imagine more people probably listen to that podcast and actually rewatch those episodes. So
yeah,
I
definitely.
can't imagine. When was the last time you wanted to watch? Have you ever rewatched an old Raw off the network?
No. Pay-per-views, I'd be more likely to revisit a paper. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched a full episode of Raw. But I've just had such an urge to read the 2000 Royal Rumble pay-per-view because I adored the Cactus Jack Triple H street fight.
Yeah,
and
I
do have access to the network. Popped it on, and then the app crashed halfway through, and I thought, "This is just nonsense." And I am.
I want on YouTube. I want WWE.
I did look, and it wasn't there because I was just sort of jonesing to reach that match. So I've bookmarked. I've found the DVD. I'm just going to buy it just so I could just have it, and whenever I want to watch it, because that was kind of like my first proper pay-per-view. And also that was that era of when pay-per-views were on Channel 4.
That was the
once
2000
once
Royal
a quarter.
Rumble.
Yes.
The 2000 Royal Rumble one that it was the first one they showed, and it was the one that ruined that contract. So I think the Channel 4 not cancel that contract for WWE
maybe
pay-per-view
the following year, because they definitely did do 4 pay-per-views that year, and then after that, I'm not too sure.
But they had a year. Their contract was for a year, but Rumble, I think it was a year with the idea that they would continue the contract. But that Royal Rumble 2000, between the street fight being like watching an assault basically, and the stuff with Mae Young on the review, I think was enough for folk to be like, I think Channel 4 like, what the fuck have we bought?
That moment where it was someone from client side and maybe being eliminated for the Rumble, and the mount he lands face first and definitely like Bright busts his nose open, and it's Jerry the King Lawler on commentary going, "Oh, look at that Chinaman fall!" It's just like,
nice.
And it's like,
I've been watching.
Just so many things are wrong. A product of the time.
Reviews from that era. I watched the 2001 Royal Rumble, my favorite Royal Rumble. 2001's but Jerry, I watched it over Christmas. I watched it with Sonny, trying to get like my kids into wrestling so that I've got folk to go to the shows with. And Sonny really enjoyed the 2001 Rumble, but Lawler is woeful. Like his commentary and like his just like seediness, which was, I remember at the time thinking Lawler and JR were amazing. Particularly listening back now, I'm like, oh, it was all JR.
Puppies.
Lawler's just fine. And there's he just keeps talking about, there was obviously at the same time as the 2001 Rumble, that was a story where Vince McMahon had Trish Stratus as his assistant, and it's just Lawler constantly. There's a point in the 2001 Rumble match itself where he's asking about Trish, and you can almost hear JR being totally pissed off and going, "Can we just focus on this match?" That 2001 Rumble is amazing though, with the Hawk Man coming out and.
Is that where it turns into like does Raven come out and bring every weapon into the ring, and then it turns into like a hardcore street fight, and where Kane eliminates the most people.
Kane eliminates 13, I think.
Who's the celebrity? Is it like Drew Carey or something? They come out, and then when Kane comes out, he just eliminates himself.
He just climbs over the top rope and jumps out when Kane shows up.
Exactly. A lot of my pay-per-view history, all from 2000 onwards. I'm almost tempted to kind of go backwards and see what 1999 was like.
I watched the 1999 Rumble I found them all, and I've just kind of been watching them back. There's some great ones. 99's awful. 99's a funny one. It's good to watch it because you got Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock in that, and the rosters. It's total peak attitude era roster. But 99 was the one where Vince McMahon had put the bounty on Stone Cold. You know, anyone that eliminates Stone Cold for the Rumble gets $100,000. So yeah, and it was all right. But it's just a bit meh. 2001's great. 2004 is brilliant, but I really enjoy that one. But Benoit wins it, so it's the one that's like the Forgotten Rumble. It's a real. But don't get me wrong, it's a really good Rumble.
Is that the one that leads to him winning at Mania, hugging Eddie, and
when you watch it, it's totally heartbreaking. But on its merits, it's good. 2002 is a good Rumble as well. Actually, that's the one where Triple H came back after the invasion. It's good, but there's no chance. I remember time watching it and being like, it has to be Triple H that wins this. There's no chance anyone else can win this, and that's probably my main criticism about the older Rumbles in general. Is it's so full of mid-carders. It's too obvious. Like 98 and 99, you know Stone Cold's going to win it, and then obviously he doesn't win it because of Vince McMahon shenanigans. But and then in 2000, it's obviously The Rock. Then that got fucked up. So
what direction? Where is going this year?
I was going to say that this year is fascinating. It's probably I've been watching Raw for the first time in years. The last couple of months, and actually it's the build-up for the Rumble in this one's been great, and there's just what I quite like about it is there's like usually they kind of lean towards one or two obvious winners and no one else has got a look in, but I think there's like three on their own very obvious winners, but then there's also about three or four obvious and potential like surprises that could happen as well. So like so I'm off the top of my head, there's potentially 5 winners.
Okay. Right.
Just for the main Rumble.
Could I guess?
Yeah. So who would you say you're like? Yeah. We'll talk about all like a winner each, and then we'll come back next week and see you. So who have you got? Who are the obviouses then?
Obvious ones would be like Punk, Cody Rhodes, let's say Drew McIntyre. One of the lower, but kind of would be cool if they did, would be like Gunther.
Yeah, so I've got Gunther quite high, I think.
Yeah, that's it. Like it's good because it's hard to tell like which horse to back in this race, because they've all kind of got storylines going into this. Like, I guess based on like the win-loss record alone, like Gunther should just be like king of the castle at this point. But yeah, every week sort of Punk's got a promo with like Drew, Cody Rhodes. So like he's got all these people who's coming out, and there's like, I don't know. It's because did Cody get last year?
Cody won last year, yeah. That was the whole complete story, and you never got. So that's it. The Cody one. Like, can he finish the story? And then it's funny because in November, if you'd asked me in November, maybe just before Survivor Series, you could just see it's like, oh, Cody Rhodes is going to win again, and they're going to build towards him and Roman Part 2, and he'll win it finally. And maybe at SummerSlam they'll do like a best of 3, which Cody Rhodes will win. You know, he'll retain against Rhodes. He'll contain against Roman at SummerSlam, and that'll be the 3 matches.
Aye.
But then Punk came back. Obviously, The Rock's hovering around as well.
Yeah, I know. Surely he's not going to pop up in the round.
I don't think he needs to. You can slot if they're given a match at WrestleMania, they can slot him in quite easily. I think I think the issue is if you slot The Rock in for a match at WrestleMania, he has to go against Roman, doesn't he?
It doesn't make sense to go against anyone else. Roman's had the title for feels like decades at this point. And like he's just beaten him, he's stacked him, he's went through them all. Who else to beat him other than someone from his family that is at a higher status of like success than him? So
what I quite like about Roman just now is Roman's in a position that allows you to like. I think Punk Roman would be amazing. I think Punk a standalone match. I think I think obviously Cody Roman 2. It's like can he finish the story
Oh,
finally?
I would love that. I would love that.
You got Gunther. Gunther's just an absolute machine. So like him versus Roman's just intriguing.
Yeah, I could hear the chops right now.
But you also then got Seth Rollins as another world champion. So when you win the Rumble, you can go against him, which then I think that opens up Gunther and that'll to be legitimate winners because they could win the Rumble, but then not.
Yeah, they could go that way.
Yeah, so it's intriguing. Who do you think's going to win?
I really want Cody to finish the story. There's part of me that wants Punk to get his Mania main event. Part of me is like, yeah, I'm Scottish. I want Drew McIntyre to get his his victory in front of a crowd. Yeah. Yes, he was like the pandemic champion, and the guy deserves another go with the championship in front of the crowds. And whilst I haven't seen it, I heard that his promo the other week where it's like this heel persona he's got now, where he's just a ticked off genuine guy. Like, yeah, fucking, I give it.
He's good. Like, he's not coming off too whiny yet, which I'm enjoying. And I hope they don't make him really like money. But I really like Drew at the moment because it's they've managed to toe the line between he's got grievances, but they're genuine and they're understandable. He's grumbling in a way that makes it quite dislikable, but there's nothing untrue about what he's saying, which is good.
Exactly. So that's a lot of them. It's a Cody and The Rock that goes to Roman. The rest would swing towards Seth Rollins, and I mean, he's quite banged up just now, isn't he?
Yeah. Like I think he got injured. Like they're worried that he might not be able to perform at WrestleMania.
I think there was a promo on Raw this week where he more or less just said, "Right, yes, I am injured, but this is just an assumption. I've not actually watched clips," and I think he said something about like he's just going to avoid surgery, and he's going to weigh it out, and he'll be in fighting shape in time for Mania.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like, so can you keep your belt then?
He might do that where he went, but then I remember that being a thing where folk.
If you don't defend in 30 days, you relinquish the title.
That was a Lesnar critique, though. As I always kind of think about it in my head, where it's like because Lesnar had the belt and kept fucking off. The folk were really annoyed, but Roman does it all the time, and folk don't care.
Yeah, I think Roman's. I remember them saying that he wasn't going to be an elimination chamber, and yeah, it is like you could almost count the matches he's had in the last year on like between your two hands.
That's the other idea I heard is Rock faces the Rock might face Elimination Chamber, and so that we get that match, and then Cody at the Rumble. We get Cody at Mania.
Yeah, that's one way to make it work. But yeah, I think they confirmed that Roman's not going to be because it's in Perth, Australia, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
we're looking at it because it's not like 10 a.m.
10 a.m. for the UK. It's like, look at that.
I love that. So yeah. So picks, who have you got? Who are you going to say?
Part of me, like, there's the heart that wants Drew to win, but I feel like that would be maybe it would be classed as underwhelming results. So I would have to say Cody.
Okay. So I think Punk will do it. I think it'll be Punk, and then he'll go for he'll go fifth, and then it just keeps the Roman. It keeps Roman for Cody or Roman Rock or Roman Cody or I like a good threat Roman Rock and Cody would be quite good.
That way you could almost kind of do everyone a favor if it's a triple threat. Like you could have Cody pin the Rock, and that keeps Roman strong. Lost the belt. Like without having to get pins, Cody finishes story. He ends up with the belt.
It creates a story as well, though, because he finished. You can see he won the championship at Mania, and he finishes the story. But then it frees Roman up to be like, yeah, but you didn't finish the story against me, and that so the story hasn't been. You can play about with that as well. And there's I think you get to win the Rumble and then move him into us. And him and Seth, and then that's fine. And then you can, I think I think the way that it frees up, it creates an issue where you're like, well, so and so can't win, and that's why I think the two champions thing's quite good as well. So it used to be like so and so can't win. I was telling you about those old rumbles where like because there's only one, there's only one title end. Like it basically eliminates 27 of the 30 guys ever from winning. So yeah, so you've got Cody and I've got Cody and I've got Punk. Here's one for you. One of my favorite things about the Rumble, and maybe this is the last thing we talk about because it's been almost 2 hours. We'll do a bonus point, right? And I haven't set this up for you yet, right? But one of my favorite things about the Rumble is the surprise Final Four. I love the Final Fours when you like that bit where there's always a bit in the Rumble where like entrants come in and folk are getting thrown off, and then all of a sudden it just gets to the point where you're down to your final 5 or your final 4, and you're like, shit, we're no one else is coming in. We're down to that. We're down to it's one of these 4 guys. And that bit's always really quite exciting, I think. And I was telling you, I was watching the Rumble and the 2002 Rumble recently, and the 2002 Rumble had Mr. Perfect in the Final 4.
Right.
And it's like, and just stuff like that. So like my question for you, and that was really cool. My question for you is I want you to pick another wrestler that's in the Final 4, and you get a bonus point if they're in the Final 4 on Saturday.
I would say I feel like obvious one it has to be Gunter, but like what mid-carder would you pick? Like LA Knight?
Yeah, I think LA Knight's a good shout. I've been reading bits and pieces as well. Big E.
Really?
Yeah, I think he might be the final.
That would be like a huge sub. But about like there's always that 1 year where Booker T was in the Rumble, but he was actually doing commentary at the desk, and he stood up, and the top half was suit, and the bottom half was just trunks and boots, and he just rolled into the ring. Is there any legends you could think of?
Okay, so who have you got in your Final 4? We'll move on to legends. So then that's 3, and I'll write them down. So like you get a point for who wins the Rumble. You got a point for a Final 4 entrant, and then you can get a bonus point for a surprise.
Okay, obvious Final 4. You'd have to be Punk, Cody, Gunter, and LA Knight. That's what I'm going for.
Yeah. So I think I've got instead of LA Knight, I've got Drew, but it's the same Final 4.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think that. My legend is Big E. I think Big E. He count as a legend. I think he's done enough to be categorized as a legend. Through the fact that how he's kind of bounced back from like his injury, or the fact that it's not kind of stopped him. Like, yes, okay, he's not wrestled, but he's still such a member of the community. He's out there doing so much for the company, and the fact that he was so fucking lucky. Like the dude broke his neck, and there was not any horrible like injury. There was no like paralysis. Like it could have been so much worse. And he seems like the nicest man alive as well. So I think he's got a job for life with WWE. I think if he wasn't a good person, and he wasn't just like they would have they might put him on like a Legends contract. But my understanding is
I am so glad he got a title run as well.
Yeah,
because that is definitely a dude that deserves it.
See, he's my turning legend as Big E, I think.
I wonder who. No, I'm just thinking of like who have they? But I don't think they're going to let Matt Riddle back in.
I've heard that X-Pac might be there.
Yeah, I remember seeing tweets about that. Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, I can't even tell you who like. Maybe like is it like what? There's definitely a still kicking about.
Do you think they'll fire out of on Eric?
Maybe. You're just wearing a T-shirt where it's got Iron Claw on it, just like a wee promo.
I don't know, like I've got in my head. I've got him. I'm trying to think of like my folk that I think they might bring in random things. I think maybe got a shout. He was back on telly this week. Yeah,
no, that's a good shout.
You're not going to get X-Pac was in my head, but then obviously last year we had, I watched the Rumble, the one that or bits of the Rumble a couple weeks ago where Booker T came back. It was when CM Punk was leader of the Nexus.
Right. Okay.
And, it was his. That was pretty cool because you got Booker T and you got Diesel that year. So,
Right. Yeah.
God, there's so many.
That is.
Obviously, 3, and they might have been snapped up.
that would be insane. That would absolutely be nuts. I know there was that year where like that's how they introduced AJ Styles. Like they
Oh, it was
brought
so
him in
amazing.
with the Rumble. But Okada, I mean, that would be. I'd always
That
like
was
yes.
That was my favorite
I
because they had
always
to release YouTube afterwards. They had to release the alternative footage of him because the original screen. I was absolutely mind blown when I watched that live, and it was probably one of my most exciting moments. But for whatever reason, whoever was in the production truck that night decided to keep the camera on Roman the whole time. If you watch that back, it's just Roman's face looking at as the music starts and then making like a "whose tune is this?" You're like, oh, it's fucking Gil on the stage. Get the camera on the stage.
yeah, they've done the same to Edge. Like when he returned, they kept the camera off it and they missed the spear. Like he speared Dolph Ziggler on his return, and it was just we looked at the crowd at the wrong second and we missed the spear. But
it's good about YouTube because I know WWE re-released the footage, and they did the same with AJ Styles, where they released like a different camera angle, and you're like, that's like so. Okay, have you got a legend? So I've got Big E in my final four. Have you got in your winner? Have you got your legend or your surprise entrant? Doesn't need to be a legend. A surprise entrant.
nah, because we got Carlito last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
Nah, that's maybe The Rock for shits and giggles.
Yeah, The Rock's a good show, actually. He would certainly be a. Yeah, I think The Rock's a good show, man.
Shows up as the board of directors.
Totally.
But
That's what he is now. Eh? He's a.
or
He's not,
another one, like the more plausible one might be Shane O'Mac. Like I loves to just run down, do the wee skip dance, then like turn like a tendon, and then off for the rest of the year.
that was probably my favorite bit of race. My favorite Rumble moment ever, because I'm a morbid asshole, right, is always going to be 2005 when Batista and John Cena managed to eliminate each other in unison. They managed by accident what's been attempted twice for real, and it's just not managed. They've not managed it, and they managed it by accident.
Yeah.
That last 5 minutes of that Royal Rumble is probably my favorite wrestling. It's the one I'll show my mates when we've had a couple of beers. And I'm like, go watch this, and then Vince McMahon comes in, and he fucks his quad. It's so morbidly funny. It's like,
and he's sat on his arse in the ring, at them, so angry, and he can't stand up to save himself.
It's legendarily funny. You just watch it, and you're like, holy shit! It was bad anyway. It was like, it was and then he tried to come out and give Vinny his due. He came out to try and resolve the situation. And then he, oh my God, what's happening? And then obviously, I think
it's just the moment he gets in the ring, tries to stand up, and then falls over and realizes.
Shane McMahon did it last year at WrestleMania. It was hilarious.
Yeah, they had to improvise on spot. Yeah, even my son knows about that moment.
Because I showed it to Claire, I was like, watch what happens. Because I was like, look, so when you watch it through it, like talking through it with somebody that doesn't know what they're seeing, you're like, he's now hurt and they can't do anything, but they're supposed to be having a match. And then I was like, watch Snoop Dogg. Watch what Snoop Dogg does. And so it was like he just saves it. He saves it. You're like, how's he got enough? Of all people in that situation, how's it Snoop Dogg that was able to work out how to resolve it? So good. Wrestling's amazing.
It's one of these things that it's just so unpredictable, and there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, totally.
I class it as sports.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. So good, man. Right, I can't wait for the rest of it. Are you going to be watching the Royal Rumble live? Or are you going to watch that Sunday?
No, I'm a shite bag. I'll watch it Sunday morning.
Yeah, I'm going to attempt to watch it live about halfway through, and then fall asleep on the couch, and then have to rewatch it in the morning. Well, I'm going to make the attempt. So
good on you.
So yeah, I think that's it done. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we'll catch you all next week, where I'll try and grab you to talk about what we thought happened and what we think will happen. For me,
yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Right, team. Thank you so much. Everyone have a good evening. Cheers.
it's a core team that do it, but they'll bring in guests. They'll bring in like Nathan Fillion and Felicia Day and all different type of people, and they'll do it live. But they'll mix up the characters, and it's